Hi guys, my name is Tom and welcome to the Tech Chap. Now as you can see, this is a bit of a different video. I'm out in the studio to show off what I think could just be the best Steadicam setup you can buy using a Panasonic GH5 and a Zhiyun Crane gimbal. Don't worry, I'd never heard of that either. But I think it's pretty good, but let's see what it can do. So I'm sure you'll agree, when you see super smooth, stabilized footage, it looks so much better. It looks so much more cinematic and makes your footage, your shots look way more professional. So what I've gone for here is the Zhiyun Crane gimbal. It's about 650 pounds, but it actually turns out to be one of the more popular handheld, consumer-oriented gimbals. It's got 3-axis stabilization, and as you can see, it's pretty portable. I can hold it with one hand, although you can also use it with two, and it helps you produce some beautiful shots. Now, that by itself is great, and you can use this gimbal with any other DSLR or mirrorless camera like this, as long as it's not heavier than 1.2 kilograms. So make sure you're not going to overload it, because the motors inside will struggle. And while the gimbal itself is very impressive, what I think really makes the difference here is combining it with this, the Panasonic GH5. Now, I've been a big fan of the GH series for a while. I've had the GH4, which is actually this is being shot on, but the GH5 has a few upgrades. It can shoot 4K 60, you can do 1080p at 180 frames per second, which means you can get super smooth slow motion, but also it's got 5-axis stabilization built into the body itself. Now, if you combine that with one of the supported Panasonic lenses, which has inbuilt optical image stabilization, basically you're getting a triple threat of stabilization, which means you can get beautiful smooth footage. Now I must admit, it's a bit of a pain to set the gimbal up. You have to adjust about 3 different axes worth of thumb screws, which is actually not a hard thing to do, and it's a lot simpler than, say, using a DJI Ronin or some equivalent. Anyone can do this, but it does take a bit of practice. And I'd say once you get used to it, it'll take you about 5 minutes to set up. Gyro stabilization is amazing. You can also get different types of stabilization using counterweights, but this is using electronic motors to compensate for all your hand movements. So you can basically do what you want, it'll compensate, adjust, so your camera stays perfectly still. So the gimbal itself is really well made and sturdy. It's made of metal. As for battery life, you get about 6 to 7 hours, which is pretty impressive, and in the box you get 2 sets of batteries, so you can shoot all day with this thing. Now you've got a little joystick on the back as well that can help you pan and tilt the camera. Combine that with hand movement, or you can connect this to a tripod using the 1/4-inch mount on the bottom, and you have a really, really versatile gimbal. If you press the little joystick in, you can change the stabilization modes. You can lock it to certain axes. There's a little micro USB port which you can use to update the firmware, and there's an on-off button. So you can get some beautiful, smooth, cinematic shots, but you can also use it for vlogging. My cameraman today is James Barber. He has his own vlogging. He's right here.
I'm here, I'm surprised.
He's right here. He's got his own vlogging channel. James, what do you make of this setup?
I personally think it's an absolutely fantastic setup. Cinematically, it looks beautiful. The shots look silky smooth and amazing. Slight issue with the autofocus on the GH5, and using it every day for a vlogging setup I think would be amazing. Your vlogs look very, very high end, but it would be a little bit cumbersome and maybe slightly get in the way. But if you want to enhance some shots for some cinematic kind of cutaways, it's like the perfect setup right there.
And if you're a regular to my channel, you know mostly I focus on laptops and computers and phones, and actually not having to set up a tripod for every single shot of B-roll I do, I could just mount the GH5 and I can get some really nice smooth shots around the product, behind it, on top. It really does allow me to be a lot more flexible in the B-roll I get, and also speed it up considerably. I'm not adjusting tripods every single time. So whether you're a bit of a wannabe filmmaker or just a YouTuber like me and you want to make your B-roll look a bit nicer and speed things up, then this could be a good choice. So overall, I'm dead impressed with the setup. The combination of the Zhiyun Crane stabilization, the GH5 and its lens means you get super smooth footage that looks amazing. Of course, there are a couple of problems with the setup. The GH5 in particular has pretty atrocious autofocus. We've actually made this final conclusion a couple times because it kept losing my face, so my capable cameraman James is actually now using manual focus. Also, it's quite expensive. You're looking at about £2,500 for the setup. But of course, you could use the Zhiyun Crane gimbal with any other DSLR or mirrorless camera you like, as long as it doesn't go over the weight limit. Overall though, it's a great setup, but perhaps not for everyone. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up and click that subscribe button. I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.